Ta-da! Hello, friends! Louise, you caught up on yesterday with 28 seconds to go. That's about as much time as we had left in the time slot when I finished part 2 of day so-and-so yesterday. Victory, you're first, but you're not first because you're on YouTube, which means that you are 24 seconds behind all the folks who are watching live on Twitch. So yeah, this is multi-streaming on Twitch and on YouTube. And Twitch is just kind of better for live streaming because it has lower latency. Also, the icon is purple instead of red, which makes it much cooler because purple is a much kind of cooler color. Anyway, hello friends, welcome to Advent of Code 2020 day, what is today, 5, or the 374th of March if you're using the 2020 calendar. So yes, we are going to be live coding the solution. I hope the solution. I haven't messed one of these up yet. It's been 5 days. This is day 5, and everyone so far I've solved part 1 and part 2 within the hour, which is maybe lulling me into a false sense of security. And I have no doubt whatsoever that at some point Advent of Code is just going to throw a massive spanner in the works and give me something that after an hour I'm still basically sat here scratching my head and going, I don't know how to make the code work. But maybe today will not be that day. Maybe we can. I had a little look at the brief day 5, and it looks kind of fun. So let's kick things off. Louis says I should be good for today. Awesome. Right. What are we looking at? Actually, I'm just going to do one thing. I've been talking with my social media consultant about how to grow brands and influence and all that kind of stuff. Hey, Nuno, how are you, man? Nice to see you. Welcome. Yeah, long time no see. I mean, it's not personal. Long time no see anybody at all, ever, for anything. Although I am actually going to meet some friends at a pub tonight, which is why the stream is earlier, because we booked a table for 5 o'clock. It is the 280th of March. So I'm just going to cross the streams a little bit here and going to put a thing on a couple of things, see if any other folks want to come in and join us. There we go. Boom. That's that. Let's do that. That's nice. Right. Let's do the thing. So we're going to need Advent of Code 2020. Day 5, binary boarding. You board your plane. I love the way they weave this little fun story into these things. You dropped your boarding pass. You aren't sure which seat is yours, and all the flight attendants are busy with the flood of people that suddenly made it through passport control. You write a quick program to use your phone's camera to scan all of the nearby boarding passes. Perhaps you can find your seat through a process of elimination. Instead of zones or groups, why is that hyperlinked? It goes to YouTube. Oh, no. Oh, okay, there, yeah. I'm not sure you're allowed to play YouTube videos on Twitch, and I'm definitely not allowed to play YouTube videos on YouTube, because that's like trying to download the internet from the internet. This airline uses binary space partitioning to seat people. A seat might be specified like blah, where F means front, B means back, L means left, R means right. The first 7 characters will be F or B. These specify... Okay, so the first... Exactly one of 128 rows. Each letter tells you which half of a region the given seat is... Oh! We got ourselves some binary numbers, my friends, I think. The first letter indicates if you're in the front half or the back half. The next letter indicates which half of that region the seat is in, and so on until you're left with one row. Yep, 1, 20, 32, 32, 40, 44 through 40. Yep. Okay, this is fun. The last 3 characters will be either L or R. These specify one of the 8 columns of seats. Proceeds again, this time with only 3 steps. L means to keep the lower half, R means to keep the upper half. For example, consider that, so that's R, L, R, yep, upper, lower, upper, okay. Every seat has a unique seat ID, multiply the row by 8, then add the column. Alright, so this looks to me very, very much like what we are basically doing here is we're just writing binary numbers, but we're using 2 different digit alphabets or digit sequences to represent the ones and zeros. So what we basically got here, it looks like, so if you imagine, let me grab a Sharpie here and just check through my own brain arithmetic on this thing. So what we've got is, there's that, boom, there we go. So if we got a bunch of, the bunch of rows on a plane, and then each row is divided into columns, but effectively we're talking about seats going from 0 through 63, and the columns 0 through 7. Okay, so we got 0 through, and there's 128 times 1, 2, 3 is 128, is 256, 512, 1024. So there's 1024 seats on the airplane. I think that's a big airplane. But what it's basically doing is it's saying, all right, so you've got the forward and back, which half of the plane you're in. So that's the front half, that's the back half. And then the front half here is divided into a front half and a back half. And then that front half there is divided into a front half and a back half. And that's divided into a front and a back and a front and a back. So it's basically... Oh, yeah, so normally I got all these different cameras set up. Normally I use it for doing multi-streamed concerts. So I have a foot pedal that I use to switch camera angles when I'm playing guitar and stuff. Almost like it's professional. Yeah, it is. It's a binary chop, binary search. Basically, it's a way of saying, which half of this do we care about? Okay, sling that one right. This is what you get. Which half of this do we care about? All right, sling that right. Which half of this do we care about? And so that means that you can take 1,000 seats on an airplane. You can be like, right, which half of the plane? All right, which half of the front? All right, which half of the front half of the front? All right, which half of the front 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 half? So now I think that if I have understood this thing correctly, the only thing which I'm not kind of 100% certain on is the last 3 characters there. They are actually going to give us the seat number, seat ID. So yeah, 128 rows numbered from 0 to 127. Yeah, it's a Boeing long boy. It's one of those like cut and shunt where they put 2 747s together, one in front of the other. I think it's probably an imaginary plane because we're using it to go on a North Pole Elves Christmas holiday. Anyway, that is 7 minutes of conversation and jeffing and gas. Let's actually write some code. So, Visual Studio, create a new project. Boom, here we are. .NET Core console application because, hey, if it ain't broke, why change it? We're going into day 5 here. Project name is going to be day 5. Code solution name is just day 5. Yep, let's create that. Now, I said yesterday I was going to get my nCrunch license working, and I have absolutely failed to get my nCrunch license working. But that's all right, because I'm going to... let me just spin up a new console. So this one might look like it could be quite fun to do some unit testing on. So what I'm going to do is spin up a terminal. No, not a termian. Terminal. Thank you very much, Windows. Come on with the program, please. D, CD, projects, GitHub, advent of code, CD day 5. .NET new NUnit -o day 5 test. And then I just want to do a .NET solution add day 5 test. This should now, Visual Studio, yep, reload the solution, should give me a code file and a test file and white on white background. So when they did dark mode for Visual Studio, there's apparently a couple of dialogues in there where somebody had hard coded something. -o is output. So that command there, .NET new NUnit -o day 5 test, is going to create a new solution using the NUnit template, and it's going to put it in the output. Folder name and project name is day 5 test, and then .NET SLN add says solution, modify the solution by adding something to it, and the thing we are adding here is the day 5 test project. So we now have a solution with 2 projects in it. Who needs unit tests anyway? We've created Agile for a reason. Just create bugs so that you have tickets in the next sprints. I like that because every time you create bugs, you're creating jobs for maintenance developers, right? Trickle down economics. And yeah, right. Let's do a thing. So I am going to write a public class seat parser. And I am going to put I never know whether to use constructors or static methods for this kind of thing. We used a constructor yesterday. So yes, we can. We could have programs that write programs that write programs, but at that point we may as well have just done it in Lisp, right? Because that's what Lisp basically is. You start with a tiny program that writes a bigger program, and you go until you've got a metacircular evaluator, and then suddenly you've invented the lambda calculus out of thin air. So, public seat parser. I'm going to put a public static. Now, we're looking for a seat number here, the seat ID. If you have a look at the advent of code thing, seat ID there is 567. So we've got a couple of nice little examples in here that I'm going to bring into play in a second. Let's have just for the hell of it, a public class seat, because there's these references in here to rows and columns that aren't used in this. It just needs the highest seat ID, but the fact they're referring to them makes me wonder whether it's going to be needed in part 2. So I think we're gonna bake that into what we've got here. Public class seat, and a public seat is gonna have actually, you know what, I'm going to bake the parsing behavior into the constructor for this. So public seat string boarding pass code to do this. Yeah, there we go. Look, now we've got project management as well as unit tests. And then a seat is going to have a public int is going to be the row, get, and set. It says it's an airplane, but it smells a little bit like an Excel spreadsheet to me, right? Get, set, there's that one. And public int seat ID, get and set on that one. Now those aren't actually going to be settable, so we can just put gets on those, and then we're going to be able to implement some kind of behavior on them, which... Why is that complaining? Auto property accessor is never used. So just to get some stuff running, this dot row equals 0, this dot column equals 0. Actually, I can put default properties because .NET gets better every year. That equals 0, that equals 0, that equals 0. There we go. That's nice. Look at that. Seat ID is complaining because D should have a lowercase on it, apparently. Some TSQL that writes some TSQL. So those of you watching the chat we got going here on Twitch will see a comment from Surly Dev about databases that write themselves. I'm not even looking at that, and my brain is busy with this right now. So public seat, string boarding passcode. All right, red, green, refactor. Let's make some red. So no, not the Server Explorer, the Solution Explorer. I clicked the wrong button, and now Visual Studio's gonna have a little think. Wow, look at that. It's actually connected to Azure. I didn't even know that was a thing you could do. Solution Explorer is what we want here. So unit test. So we don't need a setup on any of these. That we can just comment out. So let's grab a couple of those test cases from the Advent of Code webpage. Row, column, seat ID. So let's drop in over here. Public void. Let's do test seat parser. And on that, I am gonna drop in a bunch of test cases here. So we're using the NUnit test case fixture stuff we looked at the other day. So that one is gonna give us 77,567. Okay, I'll pull those back in a minute. So what we're going to do is write a test case that takes a boarding pass code, a row, a column, string, boarding pass code. I was JavaScripting until 2 a.m. Can you tell? Int is going to be the row, int column, and int seat ID. So var seat equals new seat based on just import the thing. Yes, reference day 5 code. Thank you very much. Boarding pass code. and then assert dot that. I'm going to just install a little library here. Give me the package manager console. There's a library called Shouldly, which is nice. Lets you do a kind of, it's a fluent assertions library for .NET. So day 5 test install package Shouldly. Cannot start package. No some. What? Install package. Install packages. Multi-line cursor. Yeah, I'll come back to that in a second. This is one of those things. The NuGet package manager console project Shouldly is not fat. All right, I'm going to do this from the command line because I can remember on the command line how it works. .NET package add Shouldly. What? .NET add. How many different ways? So there's actually for n number of language keywords, and there is no such project as Shouldly because I can't spell it. N number of language keywords. There are 2 to the power n ways of messing it up while you are trying to demonstrate on a live stream how it works. Golly, that's a lot. Okay, that looks nice. Cool. Right. Well, it's not red and it's not orange, so it probably worked. Right, back onto Advent of Code. Close that window, and then we can say seat.row.should-be. Boom, look at that, and that root should be equal to row. Seat.column.should-be column, and seat.id.should-be seat ID. We got tests. Let's run the tests, see what we get. Clear that, cd.net test. It's 70 was 0. Red. What do we say, kids? Red, green, refactor. It's install package, isn't it? Yeah, so... so let me just uncomment these other 2 here, and the block cursor, it's, what is it, Shift Alt, and that's what we want. Test case that, and then Shift Alt down, This is where block cursor stops being quite such a good idea because they're not perfectly lined up. So I love the way block cursor is like a two-dimensional edit, a one-dimensional edit applied to a two-dimensional space. Makes me wonder if you could have a grid cursor that, like a 3D cursor that applied in a volumetric space for editing multiple files in multiple rows at the same time. Maybe one to come back to another day. Right, so we've got 3 test cases now. Let's do our .NET test. We should get 3 failing tests because it's everything 0 in every case. Tests failed 3. Okay, so to do this. So what do we need to do here? Now, I've got some tests, and because I have tests, I'm now gonna kind of throw a Hail Mary pass and just throw in what I think is a solution that's going to work for all of these. And if all the tests come out green, then we can refactor to improve the design of the code. Because what I think we can do, that boarding pass code is a string. And that string has B and F and R and L. And F here is... what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the boarding pass code into a binary coded number. So zeros and ones in a string, and then I'm going to do an int32.parse that in base 2, and I think that'll give me the seat ID, and then I can extract the row and the column from that by using a modulus and remainder on that. That's what I'm going to try and do. It'll work, and if it doesn't work, it'll be very, very quick to make it not work. So what do we want to do here? Validate and reject anything not in FBRL. I don't need to yet because I see nothing. Let me just have a look at my input, but I'm guessing my input from a very quick visual examination, they are all the right length and I don't see any duff codes in there. So let me save that as my input.txt file. So this is going to be in day 5 is there, day 5 code input.txt. There we go. Got a copy of that to come back to later, but our implementation now, what I'm going to do is, so boarding pass code dot select, and this is going to go from a letter, and that letter is going to go letter.to binary digit. and I'm going to plug that in over here as an extension method. Public static class extensions, public static, this will be a char, and this will be 2 binary digit, this char C, and switch C, case F, case L, return. The plane is 0 at the front and 127 at the back, right? So front is 0, back is going to be 1. Those are going to return 0. Case, what were the others we had? B and R for right. Case B, case R, return 1. And anything else, throw new exception found. No, what? Come on. Why would I ever want to exception dispatch info? Why do I not have exception? Throw new exception. Thank you very much. Unexpected character in boarding pass. Boom, there we go. We've got a test, we got error handling, we're breaking the thing down. So boarding passcode.select, letter goes to letter dot to binary digit. That is going to give me a array of, no, it's going to give me an innumerable of characters. I can make this neater. Instead of using an extension method, if I just make this a method on that seat class, take out that this char C, that's all fine. I should now be able to say letter goes to letter to binary digit, char C, and that should now say I can replace that whole lot with a method group. That's not doing quite what I expected yet. That's fine. Letter goes to letter to binary digit. Yep, replace with method group. There we go. So we just said, here's the method to apply to each. One goes in, one comes out, kind of thing. And then that is going to give us an array. So if I to array on that, that'll give me an array of characters, all of which are 0 or 1. And I think I can do a dot join. And no, I want a string dot join. And I want to join on nothing, and I want to get that array of characters, and that's going to string.join is, yep, that should work. What's that complaining about? Argument 1 cannot convert from char to char on string.join because it's looking for a separator. Actually, string.empty will do that. Alright, so I'm just going to do a console.writeLine boarding passcode, console.writeLine seat. Give us very quick just a quick visual inspection that we haven't made any silly mistakes yet, because we're kind of halfway to the thing which our unit tests are going to cover. It's not going to do anything yet. Let's run this and see what we get out of it. Okay, so we've got back, front. So back is 1, front is 0, front 0, 0, back 1, front 0, right 1, right 1, right 1. Yep, that looks pretty good. Okay. So that's mapping on correctly. So now I think I can say this.seatID equals int32.parse digits, and at this point, where the hell do I specify the base that I want to work with? .NET parse int specify base. Convert.toString. Yeah, no, I don't want. I want that the other way around. int32.parse. But I don't want an iFormat provider. Anybody on the stream who knows the answer to this one, do feel free to jump in. An alternative would be to convert the characters to ints and just reduce them by always multiplying the carry with 2, which, yeah, we could do that. But at that point, we've basically implemented our own binary parser, and that's kind of like reinventing the wheel, and I cannot believe that the .NET framework does not include a method of parsing an integer that allows you to specify .NET, so parse integer, specify numeric base. Let's try that. Convert binary string into integer. Stack Overflow is fine. Convert.2 and 32 lets you specify the base. Okay, sweet. We are cooking with chutney. So that equals convert.2 and 32 digits. 2, that's all fine. And now the row and the column, we can actually derive those backwards from the seat ID. Get goes to, so the row is going to be the seat ID. We need to do an seat ID divided by, we'll come back to this. Maybe we don't need those. Someone said on the stream we don't need those. So maybe we can just skip row and column for now. That's fine. That's fine. I'm going to take out the same behavior from here. I'm going to plug those back in. I'm going to do a .NET test, and I'm going to see what I get. And boom, 3 tests. Red, green, all right. So we now have a working boarding pass code parser. So we've covered the test cases, the default, and we've got the behavior that is required. We've got our puzzle input. What is the highest seat ID on a boarding pass in my input? So let's go over to my actual program. Var boarding pass codes equals file.read all lines input.text. I just need to remember input.text to set the properties of that to copy to the output directory. Otherwise, it ends up in... So when the compiler runs, it puts the thing that actually runs into an output folder, but it won't move the input thing to be next to the program unless we tell it to, which means it'll choke because it can't find the file it's supposed to be reading. Boarding passcodes equals that. Var seat IDs. So actually, at this point, we can say console... We'll do it in bits, and then we'll turn it into the one-liner. So var seat IDs equals boarding passcodes dot select. So for any code, we just want to go to new seat code dot seat ID. And then we are going to say var max equals seat IDs dot max. And then we are going to console dot write line max. Boom, done. Right. Run that. .NET run minus project. If you're sorting the input file, you'd get the highest. Is that, Louise, is that just a, I'm just thinking, is it a happy coincidence that the BFRL are always going to be... No, you wouldn't, because front in the alphabet occurs after back, but left occurs before right. So with this alphabet, you cannot get the things in numerical order by sorting them alphabetically. Could you? You'd get you get the front of the aircraft. No, you get the back of the aircraft at the top of the file, but then yeah, the last three is the wrong way around, isn't it? Yeah. Nice idea, though. I love that kind of thinking. 5 code, boom, done. This should print a number. If it prints a number, boom, file not found, input.text. Why not? Because I haven't recompiled the solution. And could not find file, day 5, input.text. Problems with relative paths, and is it relative to where the binary file is or to where you're typing .NET Run from, and it does different things from the console than it does from Visual Studio itself. But in here, I think if I just type .NET Run, it'll do what I need. 828 is apparently the highest ID. The moment of truth. I've not had a wrong answer come back on this yet, but I'm sure that my luck is not going to last forever. Oh, no, that is not the answer we want. 828. Paste that in there. Drum roll, please. Submit. That is the right answer. You are 1 gold star closer. Continue to part 2. Fasten seatbelt. Time to find your seat. It's a completely full flight, so your seat should be the only missing boarding pass in your list. However, there is a catch. Some of the seats at the front don't exist. Some of the seats at the back don't exist. Your seat wasn't at the front or the back, so the seats with IDs plus... Okay, so what we want to do is we want to look through that list. We know that the seat either side of ours is in the list and ours is missing. So we want to... this is fun. Okay, so we got our list of seat IDs. We found the maximum. That's fine. Now, what we want to do is to... So the number we want isn't in the list. So we can't just go through it looking for our seat because we know our seat is not there. So I want to do a... is it enumeration? What I want to do is to throw in range. So I am going to say, give me all the numbers from 0 to 1023. So it's that one. So actually what we can do here is we can say, so that's going to give us a list of ints from 0 up to 123. And I want to get the first or default. Now, I'm going to trust them that this isn't a trick question. For context, you stood in the aisle cutters. No. So all truly seasoned flyers know the best thing you can do when you're stuck on an airplane is you just stand backwards in one of the aisle seats that isn't occupied yet, and then you're not in the way, but you're still stood up and you got your luggage on the seat in front of you. So if you need to move, you can just move. I have never in my life written code in an airline lavatory, and I do not intend to change that anytime soon. Although, frankly, at this point, if they'd let me on a plane in exchange for writing code in the toilet on a mobile phone, yeah, I'd be up for that if it meant I got to go somewhere. So we've got numbers from 0 to 123, 1023, and we want to find the... now, there is a thing called single here, and we want to find the number ID where boarding pass codes dot contains ID +1 and boarding pass codes dot contains ID -1 and boarding pass codes dot and not boarding pass code dot contains ID. So why is that complaining? String array does not contain a definition for contains. Why does it think that's a string array? Boarding pass codes.select code goes to new seat.seatID. Seat ID is an int. That is an... let me do .toList on that. Should give me a list of integers. That's fine. Enumeral range.single ID goes to boarding pass codes. That should be seat IDs. I'm stupid. So we are looking for the seat that ID is not in the list, but +1 and -1 are both in the list. And there should only be one of those, so enumerable.single should find the one we want. So it looks like a brute force solution, Adam, but actually enumerable.range doesn't give us numbers until we ask for the next one. Enumeral.range does nothing, and so what .single is going to do is it's going to retrieve the first element of this range, and it is going to apply the predicate to it. And if that works, then that satisfies the condition for single, so it will exit immediately. So although it looks brute forcey, enumerable.range here, this is not actually generating 1,000 numbers and then potentially throwing away most of them. This will only generate the numbers that are required to get to the solution that we want. I'm sure we could do something a little more squeaky and elegant if we wanted to dive really deep into binary searching on this. So let's just see what we get out of that. So I'm going to do a .NET run on here. It says that our seat number is 565. What is the ID of your seat? Let's boom, that's the right answer. 34 minutes for day 5. And to think that I postponed this, or rather I rescheduled this, because I thought if I started at 4 o'clock I might not be done in time to make it to the pub by 5:15. You had the same seat number. Dude, I think you're in my seat, because... So I'm guessing the way this one works, I have no idea how many people do Advent of Code now, but it must be. I wouldn't be surprised if it's hundreds of thousands. And obviously for this personalized input, there are only, it can't be 0, and it can't be 1023, so there are only 1021 possible numbers. So for any given person, there's probably about 100 people in the world who had the same seat number for that, which is just like trying to get on aeroplanes in real life when you've booked a Ryanair flight through a travel agent and end up with about 28 people with passes for the same seats. Right, so Adam says, I know, but you still need to go through all the seat IDs 3 times for each single. So... we got a little bit of time. I'm going to have a little quick look, and I'm going to see if we can... go to stats. You can see how many people have solved every puzzle so far. So, day 5, 32,000. Do any of you know what a power law distribution is? Because I absolutely bet that the drop-off rate of people who get bored of doing Advent of Code, that's a 1070, that's a 89, 72, 54, 32. I absolutely, but I'm just going to do a little data analytics tangent here for a second. Because I bet you if we plot those on a logarithmic scale, we are going to get a straight line. There's that. Let me just, what do we got there? So let's do a space plus with a slash tab, replace all of that. There we go. Copy that, paste that into here. You'll sign up to watch to see me do stupid things in Excel in real time, right? So that's the day, and that's the entries. And if I grab that one and do an A to Z sort on that one, smallest to largest. No, not that. That. Sort smallest to largest. Now I want to grab that, and I want to grab that, and I want to actually go boom, insert one of those. And no, at the moment it is linear, it's not exponential. If I go format axis and I make that axis logarithmic, no, that's horrible. That's not what I want at all. I need a scatter graph, not a line graph. That's plotted the days as is what's the day relative to the thing. Come on, give me there we go. There we go. So that's that. Format data series. Yeah, that's fine. Give me a trend line for that. Logarithmic. And yeah, that looks pretty interesting. And if I change that axis now to be logarithmic scale. Yeah. Anyway, that's enough messing around with data science. Oh yeah, I guess that one, see that's a little bit below the trend, but that's because today isn't finished yet. So that one will creep up a little bit towards the end of the day, and yeah, we can do some interesting, maybe that'll be a fun way to wrap up like after we finished all the things. Right, let's go back to our console solution. So first thing I'm going to do is get commit -m solved day 5 parts 1 and 2 using the awesome power of link. I can't think and type in capitals at the same time while doing a He-Man voice, but hey, you know. Git push. If He-Man had a slightly wonky British accent, of course. which he did in the original before they redubbed him. It was like Dave Prowse doing Darth Vader all over again. Cockney He-Man had to be seen to be believed. Right, let's go back into our code. So, yes, we have a slightly entertaining piece of suboptimality here. Because we are having to search through our seat IDs 3 times in order to find that. So actually what we could do here is we got a bunch of seat IDs, and we know that there is only one of them missing, right? And we know it's when we start at the beginning. So if we say crunch through all the seat IDs, so look at seat ID number 1. If 2's missing and 3's present, we return 2. If 2's present, 3's missing, and 4 is present, we return the one that's missing. So we could do it with a single sweep over the whole thing. But how do we trivially do that if... Okay, so seat IDs is a list. So let's do a... we need to do this based on indexes. So let's do the window function. You mean it's got skip and take, so we can say skip a certain number and then take a certain number from that. Oh, Adam, that's beautiful. So Adam says, what is the sum of all the seat IDs? Subtract all existing IDs. What will you get? So, well, no, the problem is that we don't know, or I think my first thought on that is there's some missing at the beginning and at the end, because some of the front rows don't exist, some of the back rows don't exist. So if we sum all the... But it's a continuous block, isn't it? So we can do... Yeah. Okay, so let's do this. So sum of all possible seat IDs equals enumerable dot range seat IDs dot min seat IDs dot max dot sum var sum of actual seat IDs equals seat IDs dot sum Did we have to find min in the first part? I know we had to find max. So var difference equals sum of all possible seats minus sum of actual seats. So if this prints the same number twice, we've got a neat optimization there where we're adding all the numbers together and relying on the fact that the difference between the sum of sequence A and sequence B will be the value of the element that's missing from sequence B as long as only one element is missing. Both min and max are useful. Well, min and max we've got... we can pull out pretty easily here. So we got seat IDs min and max, and that's pretty optimized. I think in .NET it does it by doing a... It'd have to look at every element, but it'll be big order of N1. Or it might be simply just to sort them and take the top and the bottom. Anyway, let's see what this does, because if this prints the same number twice... No, not that. CD day 5. 5 code. .NET run. Interesting. That absolutely did not work at all. Why does it think the difference between those two is... Okay, now I'm intrigued. Right. Boom. Breakpoint. Hit the button. We're going to have to actually debug something here. So, what do we got there? The seat IDs there is a collection of 805 elements. And if I bring up the immediate window here and I do seat IDs.sort. No, that's a sort in place and doesn't do anything. Okay, so that indeed shows us that our input starts at 23, 24, 25. Okay, so that's fine. So seat IDs dot min 23, seat IDs dot max 828. So enumerable dot range from 23 to 828. Sum of that should give us I'm intrigued by this. This is odd and not doing what I expected it to do. So sum on that should give us so there's an increment on that one. 361,422. 342,000. So that is a considerable difference. Right. So let me think about something a second. So if we got two lists, we got a list that goes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we have a separate list that goes 3, 4, gap, 6, 7. The sum of that list is 3 plus 4 is 7 plus 5 is 12, 18, 25. The sum of that list is 3 plus 4 is 7 plus 6 is 13 plus that equals 20. The difference between those two lists is indeed 5, which is the element that is missing. So the logic is sound. Enumerable.range should include both of those elements. Let's just break this thing out. Var min seat ID equals seat IDs dot min. Var max seat ID equals seat IDs dot max. Enumerable is start count, not max. Ah, yes, that's so we've told it that we want 800 integers, not that we want the integers up to 800. That minus yes, yeah, that's why it's not working. Min seat ID. Max seat ID minus min seat ID should give us the number of elements that we want in the range instead of the because we don't specify the min and the max, we specify the count. Thank you, Adam. There's that. So let's try running that, see if we get the same result. There might be off by one error here. Yeah, there is, 263. Why? Because min seat ID minus so that one needs. There we go. Boom. So yeah, we need to add 1 to that because the number of integers we need is the difference plus 1 because computers are hard and sometimes they count from 0. And humans are hard and sometimes they count from 0. And so there we go. We've got a pretty interesting approach here using the difference of sums. And we've got an approach here using link to find element. Less optimal. Can you have, so this is an interesting question. The word optimum, kind of, some people think it's binary. Like something is optimum or it's just not. Like the optimum is there is only one correct answer. So you cannot have more optimal and less optimal. Something is either optimal or it is not optimal. And the opposite of an optimist is a pessimist. So if something is not optimal, is it pessimal? Anyway, there we go. I'm I'm going to wrap that up because it's Saturday and I need to go and put on 8 different layers of Norwegian Arctic drinking clothing so I can go and sit in London outside in the street drinking nice cold beer on a Saturday night, because that's what we do for fun here in the winter of 2020, the year that just keeps on giving. Thank you very much for joining the stream there, folks. That was fun. I'll be back tomorrow and every day until the 24th. Keep an eye on Twitch to see the schedule things. Like and subscribe and whatnot, and do the things. And I'm gonna push the slot to GitHub. And who should we raid? Let's find someone and go and do the whole Twitchy raidy thing and dump all of us onto all of them and. Yeah, that's all the pubs in London have been shut for the last month, and they just reopened this week, and we're pretty sure that it's going to last about a week, and then they're going to shut them all again. Hang on, let me do this today, and today I'm going to do this without doing Twitchception, because I'm not going to accidentally bring Twitch up on the screen that I'm screen that I'm streaming from here. So I'm going to go to switch.tv. Surly Dev has been a fantastic kind of Obi-Wan Kenobi of live streaming here, and is basically saying you should do this and try that, and this will help, and watch out for this thing, which is really, really cool, because I'm very new to all this. So I am going to type /raid. Who Illuminated Space is doing Python? Illuminated Space. What's the etiquette on raiding? Like, if I suddenly drop 24 folks have been watching Advent of Code and .NET into a Python stream, is that cool? I guess it's just like the more eyeballs the better, and if people don't want to be there, they can always quit, right? So let's raid Illuminated Space. Did that do anything? I don't know. Nope, that didn't do anything. And it says connecting to chat, and it says, there we go. So let's do a raid Illuminated Space. No, that says this channel is intended for mature audiences. What am I doing wrong, Surly? Can I not spell illuminated? It's working. It's fine. I see nothing. I've confused it, I think. Shows at the top of the Twitch chat. Yeah, but I can't see that. It's not at the top of my chat. Give it 20 seconds or so. Shall I do it again? So this is a very, very exciting raid. As in, it's working. It's working. It's working. It's counting down slowly. I can't see it. I can't see anything. I can't see it anywhere. Very mysterious. Yeah, I got nothing. I'm going to assume it's working. If I come with you, I'll see you there. If this raid goes horribly wrong, that was fun, and I'll see you all tomorrow for the next part. Thanks for all the binary digits and fish and the boarding passes and the interesting suggestions about difference of integer sums and all that kind of jazz. So, cool. Nope, we're still here. This is thrilling. This is very much like the whole airline experience. It's like we will be leaving any second. We will be, nope, hang on, there is a problem. We have encountered weather. This is not working. Let's try this thing again. Is it just me here? Is there anybody out there? I honestly don't know. Well, this is very strange. I don't think I can raid a channel that's intended for mature audiences unless I've told it that I'm okay with that. And I don't think I have, because I'm relatively new to Twitch. Alright. I'm going to stop the stream here. We can figure out the rest of it tomorrow. Anybody still watching? Thank you for watching. Anybody who's not watching, bye.